I'm coming on an hour late just because nice rainy morning, so I did an extra long meditation and prayer. So I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee. I'm gonna wait for some people to hop on. And then we'll get started. Get some little background music on. This is called Used to This. Spirit, come in power. I just want you. Only right back. Knackers. All I want is you. Lord, forgive me. I've been too busy trying to do this on my own. Your regrets is what I've been missing. I don't want to let it go. Listening to my words, does it really matter? I just want you. You're the only one I'm after. Spirit, come in power. I just want you. I just want you. Nothing compares to you. Nothing comes close. I just want you. I just want you. Nothing compares to you. Nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. I can get used to this. If this is of your presence, I can get used to this. I can get used to this. This is a glimpse of heaven. I can get used to this. I can get used to this. The fragrance of your presence. I can get used to this. I can get used to this. It's not a glimpse, Naomi. It is heaven. It is that state of consciousness where the spirit just completely overwhelms you. And you know that you and your maker are one. My son just got here for some reason. Hi, Poppy. Mommy's live right now. What's going on? No, honey.
We're going to be leaving in 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, it would have been great if you would have let me know that you were coming this morning. And you just unplugged my song. Will you please plug that back in, please?
You can blame him.
That's okay. There's no one to blame. You're the one who unplugged it. Can you please plug it back in, please? I can't stop because I'm live, and I can't start again. So I would like for you to plug that back in. Thanks. Is there something I can help you both with?
Yeah, we have a card from your mom.
Okay, thank you. Can I have that? And then you guys are headed to church. All right. Daddy looks good. He's shaved. What happened?
Daddy didn't like it.
So that was it, huh? You got him to shave it off? Cool. Yeah. Can I have the huggies and the kissies? You want to say hi to everybody or no? No? Okay. See, Mommy does her church here, right?
Yeah.
Right. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Mwah. I'll see you after, okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye. Let me go turn that back on. Sorry. All right. So just for those of you who don't know, my son is 10. He is on the spectrum. He has autism or Asperger's. So he's a little socially awkward. So that was him. And he hates when I'm blasting my music in the house. So he usually walks in and unplugs it. That's his thing. So here we are. Let's play it again. Because I was in the middle of my worship and he just pulled me out, but that's okay. Because God is in that moment as well. So what I was saying is, Naomi, that you can get used to it because you can. Does it really matter? I just want you. You're the only one I'm after. Spirit, come and power. I just want you. And it's turning into hours. Doesn't really matter. I just want you. The only one I'm after. Spirit, come in power. Now we can pray, we can worship with these words, we can try and feel them as most as possible, but until we own those words and we actually walk in the words that we say, they're just words. And so nothing comes close. Nothing else matters, nothing compares, and that is all you seek after. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. The kingdom, which is the understanding of God, the gnosis of God. Seek it, and he will show it. Knock, you will find. But if you don't, then you won't. And you'll be stagnant and stuck and not evolving and not growing. But here's your heaven state of consciousness that you can have in any form that your soul or your spirit is in, whether it be in a physical form in this body or another body on this planet or another planet, in this dimension, another dimension, this timeline, another timeline. When you connect to the everything, to the all, to the Yahweh, to the divine, to the source, to whatever you want to call it, that's it. You want to get used to it. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so hold on, let me turn this off. That was a great first song. So we're going to get into some notes, which see, I'm not prepared. Let me go grab my notebook because I have some notes. Hold on. Hot mess this morning. Hotty hot hot hot. All right. I think it's this side. All right. So first and foremost, winter solstice is coming up. And for those of you who are like, who cares? Well, that's how Jesus got his birthday. Was it? They revolved it around the winter solstice. Because if you even just look a little bit, we know that the months and the years and the days and all that, we really don't. They don't correlate to at what's astronomically taking place at that time. So we know that you know the days that we actually celebrate these things are not actually the days, but they're represented, you know, to be accepted as those days of remembrance, let's say. Okay. So winter solstice. So the solstices, from an ancient standpoint, are always significant because they bring in change, because it's the kind of the death of the old and then the birthing of a new in the spring. And so this happens in a yearly cycle, but then it also happens galactically and cosmically in other larger cycles that we couldn't possibly fathom. So last year in the New Age community, or the light worker community, or whatever you want to call it, the astrological alignment of some of the planets, and some of the things from a galactic cosmic standpoint, or outer space standpoint, were very significant. And you kind of have the same stirring of it this year. So either way, everyone knows that we're in some special times right now. So we know, because unless you're living under a rock, whatever. So we've got winter solstice. We had some, I'm trying to think, not from, and that last week was the kind of the big stuff. This week's been kind of quiet. Space weather wise, we were expecting something more than we got. So there's that. Sunday funday. What else? So let's get into Pastor Stephen. He's got some, he had some, well, let me backtrack. The one that I watched this morning was Something Good Is Coming From This. And in this sermon, there was some urgency to his delivery. And he's a little extra excited. So he had a nice talking to the Lord this week, or that week, whatever. So that's cool. So anyway, so he started with Haggai 2:9, and I like this verse because this is one of my verses too that I usually preach to pastors, when we're in debate, healthy debate, right? Because the Bible tells us that we should be bringing our proofs for correction, our proof for correction, and so this is a verse that I bring forth all the time, and interestingly enough, he's tying it into his word of the year for his year-end offering, which is better. And so this is where I talk about my cube of transformation, Pastor Derwin, where you go through this process of expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence. And then when you transcend, you become better. And then you go through another process again, and then you get better. And then we do this macro, micro. So we do this as an individual person, and we do this as a collective for a family. We do it as a collective as your community, you do it as a collective with your country, you do it as a collective for humanity, because we are not the only species in the universe. So, and by collective, I mean we're all connected through our DNA, because we all came from the same source, right? And this is where we get into the singularity or the totality, and we're getting more into the quantum physics side of it. But it's really the same concept from a standpoint of God knowing all, being all, and was all from the beginning to the end of time. It's the same concept, just from a different perspective. So we have that. So in Haggai 2:9, it says, the glory of the present house will be greater than the glory of the former house. And so, and house, we can take macro, micro. So we have the house being our body, right? That house, the vessel that houses the Holy Spirit. And we also have a house, meaning your family unit. We have the house of the Lord being the temple, and the temple also having a macro, micro, metaphysical, metaphorical meaning to it again. And I love Pastor Stephen, because I know he watches me and he read my book. I know you did, Stephen. So he says, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. And I'm like, yeah, I wrote that in my book last year that I sent to you. It's called A Reconciliation of Polarity. And duality. So yes, Pastor Stephen, you are correct. I'm glad you're finally coming to unity. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It always has to be both. The answer is always both, because the laws of the universe say so, that it has to be chemically, from a scientific standpoint, that those has to be that way. So yeah, so you're right. So the quicker we can reconcile those and come to unity, and unity doesn't mean conformity. Unity doesn't mean sameness. It means diversity, and allowing for the freedom and the liberty to express the way each individual person feels the need to express themselves, because we're all an individual reflection of God's thought. And if he didn't want us to be who we were, then he wouldn't have thought us in the first place. Bam! All right. He threw out Ephesians 3:20. That was cool. So here we are, where again, scientifically and biblically, they both talk about this time where, and philosophically, you've got Plato and Socrates talking about these things when they were alive. So in all of these aspects of reality, right, in different cultures and religions, different time periods, different areas of study, different socioeconomical classes, everybody understands that there is going to come a time where shit is going to hit the fan. People are going to be nuts, and we're going to be living our life ass backwards. Okay. And the person the people, the few that realize it, will be called liars. They'll be called insane. And they're the ones who are telling the truth. This is biblically prophesied. This is philosophically prophesied. This is culturally prophesied. And this is also scientifically, the laws of the universe. So this is going to happen. However, on the flip side, with the worst, without great risk, there is not great reward, right? And so without this feeling of extremes, of the most fragmented and decompartmentalized computer information into binary, which is just too much order, right? Too much order. AI. Too much. We don't want to go this way. We're going the wrong direction. We need to go to the feminine side. We need to balance these things. We need to have more chaos, less order. But the chaos doesn't mean that way. It really means just creative energy, right? So, and this is where we find the balance. This is where you have your yin and yang, yada yada yada. So we're coming to this point where we're going to transcend this era, where we can move into peace and harmony, because now we've brought in logic and reason with love. And now, okay, well, we can't just have love for other people, because then we're taken advantage of. And if we continue to be taken advantage of, and we just pray that when we get out of here, we go somewhere better, that only further divides the poles, versus kind of figuring out how to bring them together. So my whole philosophy moving forward, and this is where you get into the seventh church in Revelation, is to be gray, lukewarm, and then you understand, you get to the point where, like, well, you don't want to do that, because, and then you get to the end of that and you realize that is truly the gift, is to be able to understand the gray, and to sit at the right hand of the Father, of the total collective divine energy. And so and become immortal, really, is what that means, so that you keep your essence of who you are, so you don't have to start over again in one of those other six. Now that was this past however many millions of years. Moving forward with the new heavens and the new earth, there's going to be a whole new set of rules. So none of this will apply moving forward. Because we won't be living in a world of duality and polarity. We would have already gotten rid of the things that will not serve us in the extremes of all aspects of reality, and we will find peace, harmony, and unity with the new heavens and the new earth. So we'll all be gray. So we won't need any of this stuff. Cool. Okay. What else did he say? Oh, goodness gracious. So we're talking about. He was talking about getting into the Christmas story, and he talks about the wise men. Wise, right? So wisdom, okay? So knowledge is not wisdom. You'll hear a lot of old people talk about information and knowledge and wisdom, and those three things being different in that, and that's 100% true. And wisdom is being able to take all aspects of reality and make sense of it all, right? Being able to see things from different perspectives, from different vantage points, and making a decision as the best decision possible, to benefit yourself and the whole. So he talked about the wise men being astrologers, and I found that, I hope that, and I didn't watch his message before that, so I don't know that if he got too much into the wise men being astrologers so much. It sounded like he did, but I hope that he did. I hope that he was able to connect astrology, because now you're talking about the three wise men who first saw the three people other than Mary and Joseph to come and know that this child is special. And these were not religious men, okay? But they were wise. They had gnosis. And they knew that this child was special, okay? And they knew that because of the stars, because of the alignment, because that's what they studied, because they were astrologers, and they knew that that was the only thing that would never tell a lie, because they always never failed, were in cycles. And there were cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. And this is kind of where you get that helix of time versus a linear aspect of time. So So then he didn't talk about this at all, but I know that he's had to have read up on it, and he just won't. He'll never admit it. But there are some theories that people talk about that the Bethlehem star was not a star, and it was actually a light ship. And the light ship moved. And so similar to kind of what you saw in some of the ascension stories where their bodies turn to light and they raise up to the sky. And then they say the way that he left is the same way that he will come, and it's not in his body, it's in his light body, which is literally a ball of light. And so there are some wise men now who are able to kind of pull from all aspects of reality using love and logic, using science and spirituality, and can come up with the star perhaps being a light body or a starship of some sort. And we know that these things are in all throughout the Bible, in the Old and the New Testament. These descriptions of UFO and these other beings that are not in human form. Okay. So I want to throw that in there. Okay, so then he talks about Joseph having a dream. And I want to talk about this because he's, again, here's the layers of meaning in the Bible that he even said himself, actually. He was like, oh, I read it for the first time and I missed this aspect of Bethlehem, Egypt, and Israel. And here I am, verses before that, and I'm like, you're missing this stuff too, bro. Let me help you. So here's what he missed in the Bible story. So the angel comes to Joseph in a dream, and he says, get up and go and escape to Egypt. And I want to talk about a couple things. Number one, Joseph, the text says, got up, told his wife that we had to go, and got up and left. He didn't talk to anyone. He didn't ask anybody what they thought. He didn't second guess his dream. He didn't think that, oh, well, that's just a dream, so whatever. Joseph had some sort of and it says a dream, but it could have been a vision. The angel came to him, but they wrote that it was a dream, but literally an angel came to him and told him that. Because with that type of urgency to wake up your wife in the middle of the night and leave, you better think that was something tangible to your reality. So we don't know that it was a dream or not, but either way, it was something profound. It was something that immediately he took heed and he obeyed. And so, if Joseph had this experience, why can't other people have that experience? And in fact, many people in the Bible do have that experience, and that's only what's written from several dozen authors in a small region of the world. So scientifically, we can assume that this happened at least equally, percentage-wise, across of the population of the world, right? So this is where we have to use some logic, right? So these experiences happen all the time, and you hear about them all the time. There's movies on them. There are books on them. Facebook stopped my broadcast, whatever. Anyway, so there's movies on them. And so what you have to understand is that, there's a lot of people who judge people that way, me being one of them. I feel, like people don't understand, the experience that I had, and don't understand why I feel so convinced, and why I feel so adamant and urgent to do what it is I'm doing, is because there is an urgency, right? And for Joseph, it was that they were trying to kill his son. They were going to kill all the kids 2 years and under. There was an urgency there. And so for me and hundreds of thousands of other people, maybe millions, who knows, there's an urgency here. And it's the fate of humanity. Now, that's not to say our souls and our spirits won't go on and we can be other things and other beings, but it would be a shame after so many millions of years of evolution for humanity to have to start over once again. So anyways, what else? So he listened to the dream. He didn't ask anyone what they thought. And then, he asked him to go to Israel. But he was scared and he ended up going to Nazareth, and they called him the Nazarene. And he went into a little bit about blessings in the back roads, totally understand. And this is where he gets into not being one or the other. It's both, always both. Oh, thank you, Pastor Stephen. So yes, the answer is always both. And if you can always bring yourself to that, and anytime that you're like, well, that can't be, or you're presented with some sort of piece of information, we're so used to rejecting it because of ego that we can't just look at it and say, okay, well, if that's right and I know this is right, well, how can we connect them, right? And so this is where we start working together as humanity. And then once we can kind of understand that it's all connected, then we can kind of just chill out, and we can have peace and harmony and expression, and we can, experience life without having these extremes and these poles that we have that causes so much trauma and divide. So, so he said something I love too, that he said that you have flexible expectations. And in order to have strong faith, you have to have flexible expectations. And I'm going to also say that you have to have flexible faith. To say that we know everything right now is bullshit in any aspect of reality, right? We know that there are billions of stars and planets around everywhere. To say that we're the only people in the universe is ridiculous. And so we have to understand that we know nothing, right? The earth is not 6,000 years old. Like, if a Christian really wants to be taken seriously, you have to understand that the sciences and the mathematics have advanced to a point where you cannot deny what is fact. Fact doesn't care about your feelings. However, the facts is just the five senses. We have all of these other senses outside of these five, is where the faith comes in and the knowing comes in. And so when you are able to bring those things together, then the trauma goes away, the angst goes away. And this is where it talks about in the Bible that he will wipe away their tears and there will be no more sorrow and no more pain and no more this, because you understand that you have the power for that not to be the case. We always have the power. We just got psychologically manipulated into thinking that we didn't, or not ever coming to the full understanding that we did. So what else? Above all else, I don't know what else I wrote. Always both. Anyway, so those were my notes on Pastor Stephen. Let's get into some Enoch. Let me get a cup of my coffee. All right. Order out of chaos. Perfect. All right, so we are in Enoch 1. Enoch 1, chapter 21. So it says this. Those were my notes, by the way, order out of chaos. Then I proceeded to write where things were chaotic and void. Okay, so where things are chaotic and void. And I put order out of chaos. And you see this on the wall too, order out of chaos. So you have order, mathematics, science, artificial intelligence, divine intelligence, right? So artificial and divine is the same thing. It just is, it's what we don't understand. It always was, is, and will be. And then we have chaos being spirit, which is, this is where we talk about being a free spirit, every individual personality, and then, nature versus nurture and all that fun stuff. Okay. So, and I saw there something horrible. I saw neither heaven above nor a firmly founded earth, but a place chaotic and horrible. Then I saw 7 stars of the heaven bound together. Now, this is in Revelation 2, 7 stars of the heavens. Bound together in it, like a great mountain and burning with fire. Then I said, for what sin are they bound? And on why have they been cast in here? Then said Uriel, one of the holy angels, so he's one of the 7 that has the stars, who was with me and was chief over them, Enoch, why do you ask? And why are you eager for the truth? Woo! Because the truth is the highest form of love. Okay. 6. These are some of the stars of heaven, which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord, and are bound here until 10,000 years. The time entailed by their sins are consummated. And I went out from there to another place, which was still more horrible than the former. And I saw the terrible thing, a great fire, there which burned and blazed. And the place was cleft as far as the abyss, full of great falling columns of fire. So falling columns of fire to me are like comets, asteroids, that where they make that kind of dark looking thing. And this is where you kind of go into the idea of like throwing, lightning bolts too, as well. That's what makes me think of anyway. Okay. Neither its width or birth could I see, nor could I see its source. Interesting. And then I said, I am afraid of this place and cannot stand to look at it. Then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said to me, Enoch, why are you so afraid? And I answered, because of this fearful place and because of the spectacle of the pain. And he said to me, this place is a prison of the angels, and here they will be imprisoned forever. The angels are going in the fire. That is interesting. Daniel 7:9 through 11. So here's a cross reference here. So in Daniel 7:9 it says, and as I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days. Okay, so that's not God Almighty. That's not the Son of Man. It says the Ancient of Days. My interpretation of Ancient of Days is a wizard of some sort, who a mystic who transcends time space. The concept of that. Took his seat. So this is in Daniel. Here we go. His clothing was as white as snow. His hair on his head was white like wool. So this is where I get the wizard from. His throne was flaming with fire, and his wheels were ablaze. What on earth is the wheels? A river of fire was flowing, coming out before him. Thousands upon thousands attended him. 10,000s upon 10,000s stood before him. The court was seated and the books were open. So this is the book of life, right? The books were open. Our DNA is open so that they can see what we've done and if we can transcend to the next level of evolution for our souls. Okay. And the books were opened. Then I continued to watch because of the boastful words the horn was speaking. So in Revelation, it talks about the horns on the beast or whatever. There's so many animals I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, there's definitely a horn that grew out of one of the 10 heads. Boastful words of the horn was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was slain and its body destroyed and thrown into the blazing fire. All right, so that was Daniel 7. So now we're going to go into chapter 22 of Enoch. And I went out to another place west where there was a mountain and a hard rock. And there was in it 4 hollow places, deep and wide and very smooth. How smooth are these hollow places? Then Raphael, who is one of the 7 angels, answered, one of the holy angels who was with me and said to me, these hollow places have been created for this very purpose, that the spirits of the souls of the dead should be gathered here, that all the souls of the children of men should be brought together here. And these places have been made to receive them until the day of their judgment, until the period appointed, until the great judgment comes on them. So author note says the idea of a gathering place of the dead is seen in the doctrine of purgatory, which is, if you ever read Dante's Inferno, purgatory is considered earth. So then we have also like the underground and the sky people. So, and then earth being kind of the playing field for each group. Each group is not necessarily good or evil. They are just completely opposite. Okay. Cool. In 2nd Maccabee 12:41-45, it says, all men therefore praising the Lord, the righteous judge, who has opened the things that are hid, betook themselves unto prayer. All men therefore praising the Lord, the righteous judge, who had opened the things that were hid, betook themselves unto prayer and besought him that the sin committed might wholly be put out of remembrance. Be put out of remembrance, so that we would forget. Okay, so now we're going into Men in Black type shit where they flash you and then you forget everything. So wholly be put out of remembrance from your consciousness, not your subconscious, because you can't get rid of energy. Energy cannot be created, destroyed. It can only be transformed. Okay. Besides that, noble Judas exhorted the people to keep themselves from sin, for so much as they saw before their eyes the things that came to pass for the sins of those that were slain. And when he had made a gathering throughout the company to the sum of 2,000 drachms of silver, he sent it to Jerusalem to offer a sin offering, doing therein very well and honestly, in that he was mindful of the resurrection. For if he had not hoped that there were slain should have risen again, it would have been superfluous and vain to pray for the dead. All right, so back to Enoch 22:4. I saw the spirit of the dead man, and his voice went out of the heaven and made petitions. And I saw Raphael, the angel who was with me, and I said to him, the spirit which petitions, who is he? Whose voice goes up and petitions to the heavens? And he answered me, saying, this is the spirit which went out from Abel, whom his brother Cain slew, and he makes his suit against him until the offspring is destroyed from the face of the earth, and his offspring is annihilated from among the children of men. So the children of men is humanity, okay? In this round of humanity. Okay. 7 says, and he answered me, saying, this is the spirit whom, I already said that. Genesis 4:8-12, he says, and Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother Abel. We know the story. Okay, back to Enoch. We're on 8. Then I asked regarding all the holy places, why is one separated from another? Ooh. And he answered me, and he said, these 3 have been made of the spirit of the dead might be separated. Divisions have been made for the spirits of the righteous, in which there is a bright spring of water. And one for the sinners when they die and are buried in the earth, and judgment has not been executed on them in their lifetime. Here their spirits shall be set apart in this great pain until the day. So this is reincarnation. So your spirit has to continue on the planet of purgatory until the great day of judgment. Until the great day of judgment and punishment and torment of those who curse forever the retribution for their spirits. 2 Peter 3:7. 2 Peter 3:8 talks about do not forget this one thing. For 1,000 years for man is 1 year for God, or vice versa. So that's interesting that this is here, but not the second verse. Okay, so 2 Peter 3:7 says, by the same word, the present heavens and earth are reserved for fire. This fire is not just spoken about in the Bible. This is spoken about in Native American cultures. This is spoken about in some sort of Eastern culture where there's a something with the yoga fire or yuga fire. So there is this prophecy, the earth being destroyed by fire in many aspects of time space. Okay. Reserved for fire by keeping for the day of judgment and destruction of ungodly men. And then it says, but remember this one thing. It says for the day of judgment. So this is where it says for a day is 1,000 years. And so if you're interested in that, the math on that is real. Okay, back to Enoch. So we're on 12. There he shall bind them forever, and such a division has been made for the spirits of those who make their petitions, who make disclosures concerning their destruction, when they were slain in the days of sinners. Such has been made for the spirits of men who are not righteous, but sinners, who were complete in transgression. So sinners just means missing the mark, okay? Who were complete in their transgressions. Were transgressors, they shall not be companions, but their spirit shall not be destroyed in the day of judgment, nor shall they be raised from here. So they won't be destroyed, nor they will be raised. So they'll be stuck there in some sort of way. Then I blessed the Lord of glory and said, blessed be my Lord, the Lord of righteousness, who rules forever. From here I went to another place, to the west of the ends of the earth. So he's having some sort of experience, otherworldly experience, whether it be a dream or he was physically doing these things. We don't know. And I saw a burning fire which ran without resting and never stopped from its course day and night, but flowed always in the same way. This could be lava. And I asked, saying, what is this that never stops? And Raguel, which is another angel of the seven, the holy angels, was with me and offered me and said to me, this course of fire which you have seen is the fire in the west, and is the fire of all the lights of heaven. Okay, all the lights of heaven. If you've ever, now that we're in Christmas too, if you've ever seen the Scrooge story, where he's got those three ghosts, it's like the past, present, and future ghosts, and he takes them and shows them these things so that he can, have this experience where he can live his life the best way he knows how in the moment. And so this is the same concept, except there's 7 of them. So it's not a past, present, future. It's a different set of 7 things. And 7 is a very important number. It's the number of perfection, or of perfected balance. And yeah, so we'll leave it at that. I'm going to go into, no, I'm not. Yes, I'll do 24 and then we'll stop there. And from here I went to another place on earth, and he showed me a mountain, and I went beyond, and I saw 7 magnificent mountains. So he's got 7 angels, 7 mountains. In Revelation, they talk about the 7 lampstands, the 7 stars, the 7 angels, and something else. So he's seeing now 7 mountains. Okay, mountains are so important because everything significant that happens in the Bible happens on the top of a mountain. And the Native Americans also believed they gave their mountains were their ancestors, and that's why we have Grandfather Mountain here in the Appalachians, in the suburbs of Charlotte, which is where I live. Okay. All differing from each other. So these 7 mountains were all different from each other, and their stones were magnificent and beautiful, and their form was glorious. So they had some sort of stone. And 3 towards the east, 1 founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, 1 on the other, and deep, rough ravens, none of which joined with another. And the 7 mountains was in the midst of these, and it was higher than them, resembling the seat of a throne. And fragrant trees encircled the throne, and among them was a tree such as I've never smelled, nor was any among them like them. It had a fragrance beyond fragrances, and its leaves and blooms and would not wither. And its fruit was beautiful, and its fruit resembled the dates of a palm. And then I said, how beautiful this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves are fair, and it blossoms very delightfully in appearance. Then Michael, one of the holy angels, so we know Michael's probably one of the most famous angels. Then Michael, one of the holy angels, honored the angels who was with me and was their leader and spoke. So I like, okay, so let's talk about the tree. So the tree is literal. It's also symbolic. And it goes right into what Pastor Stephen was talking about. He was talking about pruning, getting to the fruit. And you have to have both, right? You have to be able to nurture and to give light and water to watch it grow, but you also have to prune away what doesn't serve the plant, so that the fruit can be as luscious and as beautiful and as tasty as possible. And so again, this is going into your whole experience of what life is about, which is being able to express and experience and learning from those things and growing in freedom, liberty, truth, and justice. And that's where we've allowed people to take advantage of the Christian community in particular, but of those people who are, preaching love or preaching love and light. And they think that just, praying and thinking about love and light and kindness is what's going to change the world. And unfortunately, it's not. It's only creating more divide. And we have to kind of figure out how to come down from those levels to meet those who don't feel heard and they can't express and heal those traumas, so we can come to a place of balance, so that we all can win. So anyway, that's my spiel. Facebook, I think, has my account restricted for 90 days or some nonsense. I have no idea, but such is life. I'll finish my next book for my release on my birthday again. Thanks.